You're next, please.
Thank you. My name is Russ Schoenberg. I just have a simple question on it. Why is there a necessity to read a meter 2,880 times in a 30-day period? We've gone for years reading it once. You just told me you could drive by and read it once. Why can't you do it 12 times a month? Okay? Which probably would eliminate an awful lot of people's concerns, okay, on that. I have a meter on my home. I took back a television. The people at Walmart probably don't like me very much because I took it back 3 times because my picture kept freezing on that. My electric man told me, okay, that works for Nevada Power, that it probably was the meter on that. It's a 2-second freeze, 3-second freeze on occasion, but it does happen on that. I thought it was just one. I have 3 TVs in the house and they all do it. So I know it's not television at that point in time, but my question is, why do we have to go 2,880 times in a 30-day period? Why can't it be less? Probably would satisfy some of the complaints going on out here. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that. I know that when we designed the system, there was the ability to share it down to the 15-minute level with our customers, and that's how we configured it initially. So I know that the question did get raised about the transmission, how far could we transmit the reads? And the answer that was provided is we could go up to 84 hours was one of the suggestions that was going through the opt-out discussion. But the end result was this drive-by meter alternative that is being explored.
And I guess maybe what I was looking for is the answer to why does everyone that have a power meter have to be read that often? Okay, certainly not everybody in Nevada Power's area has a computer or wants to look at it. The last thing I want to look at is my computer usage or my electric usage of my computer. I've got better things to do. Okay, I can certainly representing the elderly. There's a tremendous amount of people out there that don't use a computer. Period. It's not a benefit to them. Okay, so at some point in time, we have to look at the benefit overall of the entire population of this state on that, whether what we're doing is doing anything for anybody other than Nevada Power. You got a grant.
Okay, we have any questions up north?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I'm just curious, when I get to my bill up here, it is electric and gas. Now, how is this going to work with the gas part of my bill that I'm receiving from Nevada Energy? And who's paying every time these meters are put in? Are they just free to us?
They're currently, to answer your first question about the gas and electric component, as far as your monthly billing statement, that'll still continue to be delivered. We read the meters every 28 to 34 days is what our schedule is. So that is all staying the same. The ability to look at kind of greater detail of your energy usage through the portal, as I showed here, was down to the 15-minute level for electric. For gas, we'll show it on an hourly basis for those that do want to review that. But as far as your bill, you'll still receive that on a monthly basis through either paper or electronically. As you're signed up today, that's not going to change. As far as how is it being funded, as far as the installation, the $303 million project, $139 million through the Department of Energy. The other half is not in the rate base today. That will go in it's expected to be covered by the operational benefits, as I mentioned, $25 million a year, and it's not part of the current rate base that's out there. So there's not any additional surcharges or anything else like that that has been done throughout other service territories when they've installed this type of network.
So the homeowner, the property owner, doesn't receive any kind of bill for this being put in?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I hope you can stick around for public comment, but we need to move on to, what?
That's okay. I mean, I just had a comment. Do you mind if I?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to tell you, I live in an all-electric house. I've lived there for 26 years. I didn't know when they came. I didn't know anything about any of it. You probably did send me a notice, but if it wasn't a bill, I threw it away. And I'm always so delighted. And when I went to various senior groups that I attend through my work, I suddenly was being told about this thing, and so I went home and looked, and yes, I did have a different meter on there, you know, it was different, and it's right outside my bedroom window, or on the wall there by my bedroom window. I haven't noticed anything. My only concern was I thought, well, what are they going to do? Not have meter readers, or are we going to have more unemployment? But when I'm listening to you tell me how many times you're taking the thing, it must be there must be people somewhere that are doing something with that. So perhaps you picked it up at that end. That was my only concern, was that there would be a loss of jobs. And if you have taken care of those people, well, I don't have a problem, and I've evidently had it for some time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Stokke, Mr. Kuhn, for being here. Next, we have Eric Witkowski, the Consumer Advocate and Chief Deputy Attorney General, Office of the Attorney General, Bureau of Consumer Protection.
I'm here this is Dan Jacobson. I work for Eric Witkowski. I'm here in Carson City.
Okay?
And I'm not sure if Eric's going to be able to make it today, but I'm here prepared to speak on this.
Okay, Eric's not here, so we're rolling. Okay, so Mr. Jacobson here. Yeah?
Right.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Jacobson.
The Attorney General of Nevada has a group called the Bureau of Consumer Protection. And we look at a lot of things to protect consumers, but there is a group of us that focus solely on utility issues. And we get involved in rate cases. We get involved when the company wants to build a new generation plant, or when there are complaints such as the smart meter complaints that resulted in hearings. And we also are pretty active at the legislature when they're in session, looking at the various pieces of legislation that have an effect on consumers. I would like to talk briefly about the smart meters, and then a few other things that I know that one of the things your group does is to focus on what may come at the legislature, so I'd like to talk about things that could affect senior citizens at the legislature this next time. First of all, with respect to the smart meters, we had recommended that there be no charge to opt out. We've watched the company pretty closely. They have told Wall Street, and it was described today, that as all the meter readers are eliminated, and there are over 100 meter readers in the south and quite a few in the north that will be eliminated, hopefully giving other jobs at the company. But as those are eliminated, the company will avoid or save up to $25 million. It will be worth $25 million a year. We find it frustrating that the company would reap those kinds of savings and charge a handful of people who want to opt out, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of over $100 up front, and then perhaps somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 a month to opt out. The Commission listened to our concerns, but decided that in the next little while, the company will make a detailed filing and propose specific rates. We will be very involved in that, trying to remind the Commission that the company is saving a very large amount of money by not paying meter readers. You just heard the company say that 139 million of the 303 million that it cost to put all these new meters in was covered by stimulus funds from the federal government. The rest of that will either be offset by these savings or result in a rate increase. And so that's something we'll be watching closely. But again, we are a little frustrated. The estimate is that there will have to be 5 meter readers across the state who will drive through these neighborhoods and pick up maybe it'll be 7,000, maybe it'll be less customers who will opt out. We will continue to push that those customers certainly shouldn't have to pay a monthly amount every month because they don't want to have a smart meter. Particularly when the rates that customers are paying today, the rates that all customers pay today, are based on having every single meter read. because at the time the rates were set, everybody's meter was read manually. Let me move on and talk about, and I was intrigued at your questions about, well, why are you reading, why is this smart meter reading so frequently, and what is the company ultimately going to do with this? The company has been very above board about saying that they will not propose mandatory time of day pricing, but the company is, and the commission, the Public Utilities Commission has authorized a trial where anybody who wants to volunteer can have time of day pricing. We've seen the time of day pricing the company has proposed, and for those customers who use during peak periods, like during the peak in Las Vegas in the summertime, the rates, if you were to run your air conditioner at 5 p.m. in the evening, the rate during the peak period would be 6 times the normal rate. Now the offset to that would be in non-peak periods, perhaps during the winter in Las Vegas, the rate might be quite a bit lower than the normal rate. Our concern with that, and I think the concern you already have articulated, is that could be a real shock to some customers who don't have an option, who need to run an air conditioner during those peak periods. The company, again, has said they will never force this, or they have no intention of making this mandatory, but they're conducting a trial. The data will be there. We would recommend, as your organization provides suggestions to legislatures, you might consider suggesting that legislators in Nevada adopt a law that says there will not be any mandatory time of day pricing for energy rates. The current rate structure provides average pricing across all time of day, and that's pretty crucial, particularly to people who have to be at home during those peak periods of times, who can't choose to be somewhere else or run their appliances late at night. So that is one recommendation you might consider. Let me move on and talk about a couple of things that are happening that may affect senior citizens in the way of rate increases at the next legislative session. If you've followed what's been happening in Nevada, for a lot of years, Nevada was growing like crazy, and the energy companies were continually building more capacity. They were building more generating plants to stay up with the growth of the demand for energy. What happened when the recession hit is that, unfortunately, the company was authorized and they kept building for a while, and yet the energy demand started dropping, and there was actually a decline in the demand for electricity. So that has resulted in a situation where Nevada Energy currently has more generating capacity than is needed. Well, they're a regulated utility. All of their costs are recovered through rates. And so customers are paying more for the fixed cost of this generating capacity, even though it's not being used. When there's excess capacity, it makes a couple of things not work that normally work. One is, the Nevada has a law that says a certain amount of energy will come from renewables, solar, thermal, geothermal, hydro, and so forth. Those sources of energy are more expensive than conventional generation of electricity. And at this next legislative session, it's very likely, it probably won't be Nevada Energy, but it's very likely that other parties will recommend that even more of the energy in Nevada come from renewables. The solar industry will probably recommend this. The geothermal industry will recommend this. It's called the Renewable Portfolio Standard. It's very likely there'll be pressure to raise that. If that happens, that will raise rates in Nevada because we're not in a growth mode, customers have to pay for all the conventional capacity, and if the legislature says, well, let's have even more renewables, they'll have to pay for the renewables on top of that. And we happen to be in a situation right now where solar energy and geothermal and wind energy are more expensive than natural gas. Again, if you followed this, if you happen to see the reports on TV, the United States has more natural gas right now than we ever thought we would. And the price of natural gas is at the lowest rate it's been at in a long time. For a while it was at $11, and now it's down around $2 because we keep discovering more. Even President Obama, within his State of the Union address recently said, his famous, well, my energy policy is all the above, including natural gas, which was a big change for him. Again, the point of this is, as you provide recommendations to legislatures, you might urge them to be very cautious about adopting a requirement for more renewables in Nevada, because it will raise the price of energy. It will raise rates for consumers if Nevada Energy is forced to bring on more solar, more wind, more geothermal power at a time when they already have more capacity in terms of their conventional generation than they need. The last point I wanted to make is you may be aware that for many years electricity rates have included, they've been raised a little bit in order to subsidize efficiency programs. If you're familiar with those light bulbs, the CFL light bulbs, the fluorescent ones, those have been subsidized by Nevada ratepayers, and so is an incentive to eliminate secondary refrigerators or to put in more modern pool pumps or air conditioning. Though electricity rates have been higher than they needed to be, not much, but a little bit, in order to subsidize those programs. Well, those programs made sense when the demand for energy was growing. But now, as the demand for energy is flat or declining a little bit, it doesn't make a lot of sense to ask consumers to pay more to subsidize light bulbs under the theory that this will help Nevada Energy not build the next generating plant, because the truth is they already built that plant.